Hey, what's up, guys? This is that video. I'm gonna try to compare the difference, the DIY hybrid and the Outlaw hybrid. Both are hybrids. Outlaw, to my understanding, is a brand of hybrid. Okay, I'm not gonna compare any of the other ones. I'm just gonna compare the two that I have. So let me just first show you. This is obviously the DIY. The reason why you know is this has your traditional empty front diff from a 5T. You can run plastic or you can run alloy, however you want to do it. This does have traditional 5T front suspension, meaning front shocks, your front shock tower, your camber, your tie rod links, your hubs, and all that stuff. The main differences, I'll go over that, but on the DIY, it is pretty much a traditional Baja rear suspension. Now, I know I have FLM, but I'm just saying you have a front bulkhead, rear bulkhead, same as a Baja, just to show you. Here's your uprights, your shock tower. Okay, so let me just show you the difference. Same thing. Obviously, that one's just anodized, but all the same stuff, same shock tower, so forth. I'll just show you just a quick rundown so you guys can see it, and then I'll go over the Outlaw. See, the front diff is empty. I mean, there's nothing inside. You're using it just for mounting points only. Okay. On the DIY, you run Baja rear shocks, low-C front T front shocks, okay? Now that's where it gets a little difference between the Outlaw. The Outlaw runs 5T rear shocks all the way around, okay? But these axles will fit on here, okay? Now, the main differences I would say with the Outlaw, it has a Baja Differential, okay, and transmission, okay. But the difference is this is kind of more set up like a low-C, meaning you can adjust the rear camber with turnbuckles, okay. Where this one is, you would screw this out to adjust it, okay. So this is easier to adjust the camber because it's a turnbuckle setup, okay. On the Outlaw, there is no rear bulkhead. You kind of have like this bulkhead cage, okay? So, not like the two-piece there. This is like a cage that wraps around it, okay? Now, the front is the same too. This just has an ADI setup, but you can put that on a 5T. You got your camber adjustment, your camber rods, your tie rods. All that's the same, if you guys can see. I'm trying to go back and forth so you guys can see the differences. They still run the relocation kit. You could buy either A-scale servo or 5th scale servo. Gas tank, whatever. You can move them back, supposedly. I haven't done that. Some people like them back farther. This one, you cannot move the gas tank. Meaning, like, set up right here, you can move it to these two and move the gas tank back farther. So if you want the weight more on the rear, whatever, it's a little, it's not that much of a weight difference. So, like I was saying, the empty diff on the Outlaw, they just run, it's completely empty, but they run this bracket, okay? I'm not gonna tell you which one's better, which one's not. Obviously, I haven't driven this. I did drive this, but with a different motor in it. They handle a lot like a Baja, but they are more stable because they are wider, they are heavier, you know what I mean? What was I gonna say? What else? But either way, they're both very similar. Which one's easier to work on? I will say I will give the DIY a little bit easier to work on. Mainly if you're used to a low C and a Baja. You know, to get the diff out, you got the rear bulkheads. In what I've gone through, this is way more traditional to a Baja rear. This is the trans is the Baja. That's basically all they're really using. You know, the diff, the transmission housing, meaning. This one, like I said, has that rear cage setup, so you could still, I don't know, it's hard to say. I would say, like, if you wanted to lube the gears on here, you know, most people would just take that back cover off. I don't think you can on this one because the cage is in the way, meaning, you know, you see all that. Like this one, you know, you can get in there a little bit easier, like a traditional Baja. Move the rear bulkhead and you can get the back cover off. This one has a cage that supports it all the way around. But they still run, obviously they're different motors, but they still run the brace here. You still have your engine brace on this side, on the clutch carrier side. Same thing over here. Same radio tray, same location. Like I said, the main difference I would say is the rear arms. Now, I'm not talking about if these parts can go on here or these parts can go on here. I'm just saying the difference between a DIY and an Outlaw. So the main difference, like I said, is the rear arms, okay? The shocks, obviously. The empty diff housing, where this one is just, you know, it's pretty much deleted in general. It has its own bracket. Things I do like better about the Outlaw, okay, the hubs where like the kingpin would go on a traditional one, you could see in here. These are just a little kingpin that go right into the plastic. These ones have bearings top and bottom. It is pretty smooth. I do like that aspect of it. Everything is a little bit more adjustable on here, easier, I would say, just because of the turnbuckles and stuff. What else? Like I said, this one just has an ADI, but you can put that on a 5T. This one has the plastic, like bell crank and all that. Just has a Team Chase, you know, the crossover guy, the Anchorman. What else? Sorry, I'm winging it, you know. Also the difference on these is the wheelie bar. They're still bonehead wheelie bars. Just this one, you would buy this bracket, okay? This, without the bumper part, this would bolt, you would buy it for a Baja style. It's no different than this one. You know, they mount on the bottom, same location. I'll show you here. Same location. It's the back half of this chassis is like 100% Baja. This one is its own Outlaw, you know what I mean? And this one just comes with this bracket to mount it like how a 5T rear bumper would be mounted. What else? Other than that, I don't think there's big difference. I mean, I didn't weigh them, or obviously there's different engines and stuff. Lengthwise, they're pretty much the same. They run the 30 North 5T body, whatever. I will say, now, I'm not speculating, but without a tape measure and stuff, I will say this is a little wider. An Outlaw is a little wider than a DIY, okay? I mean, not by much. I can measure them next video, I'll do that, but you could see the stance on that. Compare that. What else? Give me a minute. I think that might be about it. You know, I know there's, I'm not going to get into it, but I know there is some people that do a little stuff a little different. I've never tried this. I probably shouldn't be mentioning this, but I know some people are removing this front chassis kick-up plate and putting the Outlaw on there. I don't know if it'll work or not, but some people are deleting the whole diff. I don't know if that's feasible. I don't know why you would do that. The empty diff, really doesn't do anything, just to be able to mount, your shock tower and so forth. But I don't know, they're very similar, and then there is some stuff that is different, obviously. I can't tell you if these arms will fit on here. I don't think so. That's my personal opinion, but I didn't try, so I'm not going to speculate. What else? I think that's really about it. I think that's about it, really. I already went over these. The axles can go vice versa. So to me, the rear is the same length, but it does look like the front is a little wider. But I could be wrong, you know what I mean? But working on them, they're both pretty easy to work on. Like I said, I would say the DIY is a little bit easier to work on, especially if you're used to Bajas. This is kind of the same concept, but they're just using basically the trans. But yeah, the 30 North bodies all fit and so forth, all the same. Well, hopefully this video kind of clarifies stuff. I'm not going to go, hours into detail and stuff, you know what I mean? But just the difference between the two I had. There's multiple forms of hybrids, but my understanding is the Outlaw is a brand of hybrid. Okay? It's still a hybrid, but it's just a brand of hybrid. I'm not going to go over all this stuff. I mean, that's, that's its own thing. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's about it. I'll do a little walk around. Just so you guys can kind of see in detail. Now on the DIY, you can run alloy arms. I mean, whatever you can get for 5T, you can run alloy caster and hubs, you know what I mean? You could do all that. I left this one plastic. Just on the rear, like I said, you would run FLM extended arms. That's what most people do. But these are the same arms as I have on my Bajas, I think this is just a cleaner setup. Compare this. I'm not saying this isn't clean, but I'm just saying it's just clean, cleaner style, I guess. But I don't know which one weighs more or whatnot, like, chassis versus chassis. I'm not gonna get into all that. These run the Baja hinge pins. These are their own. These are the Outlaw hinge pins. So I'd say the big difference is the shock setup, the rear arms, and then the empty front diff. Okay, they still use the same Ackerman, the bell crank and all that stuff. So yeah, I would say I think it's a pretty good understanding of the difference between the two. I'm not gonna get crazy technical or any of that stuff, obviously. This one you can run the sway bar if you want it or not want it. This one is no sway bar. But yeah, I think I get the gist of it. If you guys have questions, I'll try to answer the best I can. And we'll go from there. Hopefully this video goes a little in detail about the difference between the two. You know, can't tell you which one's better or not better, you know what I mean, or which one's worse, whatever. I can measure them if you want. I could do that. I didn't get that crazy. So yeah, and I can always do a part 2 if anybody has questions or whatnot, but I think this is a pretty good understanding of the differences of them. All right, guys. All right. Check you later.